Welcome to State of the Speedrun, where I break down individual video game speedruns for anyone who may be interested in watching or running the game themselves. This episode, we'll be taking a look at the any % category of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And in the spirit of speedrunning, I will try to explain the entire run in under 10 minutes. Roughly 10 minutes. First and foremost, let's answer some of the most common questions. Runners play the game on the Wii Virtual Console because this version of the game has the least amount of input lag and low loading times. And though the Japanese version has faster text, the English version is used due to some exclusive, faster strategies. Now, as for the category, we'll be looking at any %, which for most games means just get to the end of the game as fast as possible by any means necessary, be it sequence breaks, glitches, etc.
Just do it!
In the case of Majora's Mask, that means the timing starts when we hit yes to start our newly created file, and it ends once we kill Majora. Until recently, the route for this speedrun consisted of the following critical path. First, finish the first 3-day cycle as fast as possible to become human and acquire the ocarina. Then, beat all 4 of the major bosses to free the 4 giants and learn the song Oath to Order. Next, play Oath to Order on top of the clock tower to enter the moon where Majora is found, and then finally, beat Majora. As you can imagine, a vast majority of this speedrun consisted of completing Step 2. However, in just the past few months, there was a major discovery. It's possible to perform a glitch that warps you from a relatively early point in the game directly to the moon, thereby skipping steps 2 and 3. This glitch, aptly named Moonwarp, was considered a meme and pipe dream for most of Majora's Mask's nearly decade-long speedrunning history, but it's now the cornerstone trick for the fastest any % route, cutting the speedrun's duration by nearly an hour. Now, let's take a look at the run in detail, including the route and major tricks and glitches used. Most of the footage shown will be from the world record run, which was completed on December 7th, 2019 by Enop112, who has been one of Majora's Mask's top speedrunners for numerous years. The run starts with a lengthy, unskippable cutscene where all we can do is mash buttons to get through the text as fast as possible. Get used to the sound, you'll be hearing a lot of it. After Skull Kid steals your horse, you are briefly given control of Link so you can chase after that no-good son of a gun. And immediately, you notice that Enop starts walking backwards. It's not for style, backwards walking is actually one of the faster ways to get around in the game world, even faster than rolling. This means most straight-line movement you'll want to be backwalking for. On to another cutscene where Skull Kid continues to be a dick and turns you into a Deku scrub. This is a bit of a downer because Deku form in the speedrun is somewhat useless, and you will spend a good chunk of the beginning of the run trying to become human again. More tricky movement, and we're in the Clock Town Clock Tower. Now when taking the stairs out of the Clock Tower, you'll see runners start mashing the pause button. These pauses are actually precisely timed to only allow 1 frame of gameplay to pass between them. What's the point, you ask? Well, there's a trigger on these stairs that is supposed to start a cutscene with the happy masked salesman, but the game engine requires 2 consecutive frames of gameplay to start playing a cutscene. No 2 consecutive frames, no cutscene. Majora's Mask works on a 3-day cycle system. You play through 3 in-game days before the moon crashes into Termina, but you can, at any time, go back to the start of the 3 days by playing a certain song on your ocarina. Going back in time resets most parts of the game state, but you get to keep key items such as masks and major points of progress such as defeating bosses. When we emerge from the clock tower, we trigger the start of the first 3-day game cycle. And we promptly reset the console, because it turns out that doing a full reboot is faster than watching the cutscene that's about to play. Mash, select, yes, okay, we're back in the game. Now, as I mentioned before, we're stuck as the mostly useless Deku scrub for the first bit of the run. To become human again, we'll need to be on top of the clock tower at midnight of the last day of the cycle. But sitting around waiting for something to happen is the sort of thing that makes speedrunners break out in hives. Luckily, there are a few ways we can speed up the progression of time in-game. First, off to Grandma's house. We're gonna ask this old lady to tell us a story so long and boring we fall asleep until the next day. Then, we do it again. Now it's the last day of the cycle, Granny has no more stories to tell, so we leave the inn knowing that we made Granny happy before she gets obliterated in a fiery lunar apocalypse. It's the morning of day 3, and we have one more trick that lets us jump forward a bit further in time. We cross town to the Scarecrow, who offers to dance the day away with us, and we furiously accept. Now with 6 hours left on the clock till midnight, we're as close to the target as we can be. But do we head to the clock tower and just sit around waiting? No, of course not. We're going to use this time to get some housekeeping things done to set us up for later in the run. Number 1, we need to collect this stray fairy. We're going to give this not-so-great fairy to the Great Fairy in Clocktown, so she will give us the ability to use magic. We need that magic at midnight on top of the clock tower. Number 2, escape Clocktown so we can cut the bushes in Termina Field and collect a bunch of rupees that'll be useful later. In order to escape, we need to build up 3,000 units of negative velocity by backwards long you just backwalk past this guard. Seriously, this trick isn't hard, this guy is garbage at his job. Number 3, cut grass and collect aforementioned rupees. This bit is
RNG dependent.
Each bush can drop either 0, 1, 3, or 5 rupees. We're hoping to get at least 90 rupees and head back to town. Number 4, give the not-so-great fairy to the Great Fairy and acquire magical snot bubbles. Number 5, head to the banker and deposit our lawn mowing money. This is the only way we can preserve our money after going back in time, and we're going to need these rupees after the first 3-day cycle ends. And number 6, head to the clock tower and wait for midnight. Originally, the intended method to get to the clock tower door as a Deku Scrub was a lengthy side quest that rewards you with access to this flower, which you use to fly to the platform. But flip that schnitzel, we have a better way. With a precise input, our useless Deku Scrub becomes an Olympic gymnast with beefy Hulk legs and does a standing backflip twice his height, a trick known as a gainer. Now, we just have to—
Alright, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Time for the showdown with Skull Kid. Shoot him with our newly acquired magic snot bubble, get the ocarina, and have a flashback where Zelda teaches us the Song of Time. This is the song that lets us reset the 3-day cycle. Play the song, reset the console because it's faster than watching the cutscene, talk to the Happy Mask salesman to become human again, and now we finally get to the good stuff. Let's set up Moonwarp. Alright, first off, like for any proper mission to the moon, we're gonna need bombs. Bombs are a staple of Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time speedruns because their programming allows for a ton of handy glitches and tricks, many of which we'll need to pull off Moonwarp. Now, bombs don't grow on— They don't grow— Bombs don't— We're just gonna need a lot of bombs, okay? And that's where those 90 rupees we collected comes in. We grab the rupees, head to the bomb shop, and fill up on bombs and bomb chews. Then we use one of the bombs to skip some dialogue with the guard by doing a recoil flip, where we backflip during the explosion of a bomb and let the recoil send us flying. Now that we're out of Clocktown, where are we going? Well, the easiest place for us to pull off Moonwarp is the Deku Palace. But do you think we're gonna waddle all the way there through the swamp and forest on our stubby Link legs? Heck no, we're gonna jump into a grotto hole and do something weird and confusing instead. First, let's do some bomb tricks to get over to that hole real fast like. First up, we roll into an exploding bomb at a specific time while holding a specific position on the controller to do a hyper extended super slide, or HES for short. Then another recoil flip to get over this ledge and into the hole. Question: why are we in this hole? Well, what makes grottos special in Majora's Mask is that they all exist on the same map, meaning when one of them is loaded, they're all loaded. So if you manage to get out of bounds in one of them, you can get into another, using them as a pseudo fast-traveled tunnel system for Link the Mole Man. We just entered Dodongo Grotto, and we'll be getting into the back Deku Palace Grotto to exit to Deku Palace. Now, I kinda glossed over the tricky part, getting out of bounds. We need to hit a certain grotto wall at just the right speed, angle, and position in order to clip through it. Like most crazy stuff in this game, you can bet your granny this is gonna involve bombs. First, we activate Infinite Sword Glitch, or ISG, by picking up a bomb during our stab animation. With ISG, the game thinks Link is constantly swinging his sword, which has a few useful effects, including not being able to fall from ledges. Now that we can't fall, we're gonna do a backflip and have an explosion interrupt us partway through. This puts Link in a standing state, and with ISG active, we float. Repeatedly do this and we gain height. Once we reach a certain point, we'll stop, turn, and prepare to do one last bomb trick called the Mega Flip. This is like an upgraded version of the recoil flip in that it sends us flying backwards, further, and faster. If we did all these steps right, we should slam into the wall and clip through it. The last step is to wait for the Dodongos to booty blast us into the grotto next door, then exit this new invisible grotto into the Deku Palace. As mentioned before, Deku Palace is where the Moonwarp magic happens, but why is it possible here? Well, there are a number of guards patrolling the grounds of the palace. If they catch Link creeping around, they'll throw him out, and the game warps Link to the front of the palace. However, it was recently discovered that by doing a precise set of in-game actions, we can manipulate the memory of the game that dictates where Link gets warped to when guards catch him. The actual mechanics of how this works are extremely technical, so we're just going to leave it at the game gets confused, and instead, we're going to talk about the technique.
First we get kicked out. Super slide past the guards. Stop. Reload this room 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then. Bomb tricks. Wee-oo. Wee-oo. Destroy this pot and grab the magic. Now it's time for a precise super slide. Grabbing invisible pots. Then we go in here. Target wall. And turn. Get in the corner, throw the pot, get over the fence, get caught by this guard and then.
Wow, that's gotta be a rainbow. That scared the fuck out of me.
We successfully warp to the moon. Specifically, one of the moon's mini dungeons. We're going to exit so we can talk to the Moonchild wearing Majora's mask and trigger the final fight of the game. Now, being able to get to the end of the game so quickly is pretty great, but it comes with a major downside. We're going into the game's hardest fight, and we don't have jack squat in our inventory, so we have to rely entirely on the scant few bombs that we have left. This makes this fight one of the most difficult and RNG-heavy final bosses of not only this game, but of all Zelda speedruns. Our main strategy for all phases of this fight will be to obtain a stun lock on Majora as fast as possible, to limit the amount of crazy RNG garbage she can throw at us. For phase 1 of the fight, Majora's Mask, you would typically shoot Majora with your light arrows. Lacking those, we have to instead resort to luring Majora towards the ground and timing a spin attack to stun her when she's near. After the first few hits of your sword and explosives, the other boss remains come alive and join the fun. From now on, we need to manipulate the camera so we're not looking at the remains, because that is the only time they will attack you. Continue our explosive stun lock on Majora to end the first phase. Phase 2, Majora's Incarnation. Due to developer oversight, she has constantly active hurt boxes under the middle of the center of the arena. Plant a bomb there to knock her down no matter where she is. Then, spin attack to stun lock and end this part of the fight. And now the grand finale, Majora's Wrath. This is the scariest part of the fight because Wrath has so many different attacks and movements she can do. Our strategy is to manipulate her into jumping into a corner so we don't have to worry about the boss remains attacking us. Then, we need to position ourselves to start jump slashing Majora in her lady dick. These jump slashes are very precisely timed, and dropping a single one means Majora will jump away and maul you with her demonic Beyblades. And by the way, you need to do this 19 times in a row. No pressure, champ. But assuming you don't screw the pooch, just finish her off with a spin attack, and congrats, you just beat Majora's Mask in under 30 minutes. Now get out of here and get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.